Okay, so we are going to create a foldable for parts of an expression. You're going to take a white sheet of paper. You are going to fold it hot dog. Leave about an inch of space at the bottom. After you fold it hot dog, leaving an inch of space at the bottom, you are going to fold it into thirds. Once you fold it into thirds, you are going to open it like so. Then you are going to take your scissors and you are going to cut the front up to where the fold is. Here to there. Here to there. Like so. I'll give you a moment to catch up. At the bottom of our paper, we are going to write parts of an expression. Once we finish with that, we're going to put the expression on the front. Parts of an expression. Okay, here is the expression that we're going to write across the top. We're going to write 2x plus 1/3 squared minus 6. Okay, now, what are some things that we recognize? The what? Which one? This one or that one? Okay. What is it called? Okay. So we know that this 2 here is the exponent, also known as a power. That 2 is an exponent, also known as a power. This one is called a constant, and it is -6 or -6. Now, if we go over to the first flap, the 2 that's in the front is called a coefficient. coefficient. And what is the x called? Yes, it is called a variable. Both of these are not variables. Now, each one of these The 2 and the x are called factors. The 2 and the x are factors, and they are separated by multiplication. So this is 2 times x. So put a dot in between the 2 and the x. Yes, we're going to get to that too. Now, each one of these flaps contains a term. This is the first term. Two x is the first term. It is separated by a plus sign from 1/3 squared. 1/3 squared is the second term. 1/3 squared is separated with a minus sign from the third term, which is a constant, -6. Now, what we're going to do next is look at each one of these terms specifically so that we can evaluate to simplify the expression. So let's look at the constant first. Open the third term's flap and let's dive into exactly what a constant is. So the constant, -6. A constant is a number whose value will never change. When you are considering constants and their terms, just terms in general, be sure to use the sign in front of the term. I used to always tell my kids, take the sign with the term. Take the sign with the term. I might have a video on YouTube with that song somewhere. When you use that term. All right, so notice that on this expression we have -6. So when you see -6, what do you need to do? Yes, indeed. Subtract 6. A constant is a number whose value will never change. So be sure to use the sign in front of the term. -6 means subtract 6. Do not change the sign. Be ready to move on. Okay, let's move on to the second flap, which contains the second term, 1/3 squared. The second flap, 1/3 squared, contains a set of parentheses and an exponent. But I want you to notice something about these parentheses. It only contains a value. It does not contain an operation. It contains a fraction, 1/3, but it doesn't tell you to do anything with that 1/3. Typically, with the order of operations, parentheses will come first. So we're going to note that parentheses which contain operations are first in expressions. Exponents are next. in the order of operations. So just because this expression was written from left to right does not necessarily mean that that is the way that I am going to solve the problem. So if we are looking at the exponents that occur in this expression, we have 1/3 squared, which means 1/3 times 1/3. Keep in mind that exponents tell us the number of times a value is multiplied by itself. Then we should put an exclamation point behind that. That's a time sign. Right here? That's a time sign. Okay, what do we have for the value? Try that again. When we multiply straight across. Try that again. Very good. All right. So the first term is equivalent to, the second term is equivalent to 1/9. And the third term is a constant, so it stays the same, which is -6. Let's move to the first term. All right, hold it. So a classic mistake is indeed thinking that 1/3 squared is 2/6, which reduces back to 1/3. We will work on operations with exponents because exponents mean multiplying the number by itself. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 3 is 9. Yes. Oh, because you gotta multiply it by. Oh, yeah. You're multiplying it by itself. Yeah. We're multiplying 2 by. Yes. So we have 2x for the first term. X is a variable. Correct. The x is 4. So we're going to substitute. Very good. We're going to substitute and solve. We will put 8. We'll multiply it by itself. No, not by itself. We'll multiply whatever number we want by it. It is 2 times 2. No, what is x going to be for this problem? Because I said that we're going to evaluate when x is equal to 4. And evaluate means to substitute and solve. I just taught you that. You didn't know that before. Now you know it. I still don't know that. Yes, you do. On the first term, we were given 2x. Without knowing the value of x, we cannot do anything with it. But if we are told to evaluate it and they give us a value for the variable, then we can substitute the value for the variable and solve it. I'm telling you that the value of the variable is 4. If the value of the variable is 4, what will that term be equivalent to? Yes, because 2 times 4 equals 8. Now, we are ready to clean up the entire expression. The first term is equivalent to 8. What happens after you have the value of the first term? What are you doing? You're adding. What are you adding to the first term? 1/9. Okay, so we add 1/9 to the first term. What do we get? 8 and 1/9. Now we have 8 and 1/9. What happens next? Subtract 6. So we have 2 and 1/9 as the value of this expression.